What's good, Vanguard? Kyoshi here to celebrate the end of AAPI Month. And to do so, I thought it would be really cool if we could celebrate those who are both Black and Asian, specifically Black and Japanese, or as I like to call us, Blasian, or Blackanese. First up, we got the amazing story of Yasuke, the first known Black samurai. Yasuke was the first known foreigner to achieve samurai status. Much is still unknown about Yasuke. His birth name is unknown, date of birth is still unknown, but most people estimate him to arrive in Japan about 1579. Samurais at the time in Japan were an elite class of warrior. Only about 10% of people were able to become one. But in 1581, the emperor/warlord Nobunaga was looking for more warriors to conquer and unify Japan. So for the first time in Japanese history, a non-Japanese citizen was given the rank of samurai. Though a lot is still unknown about where he came from, many speculate he either came from Mozambique, South Sudan, or Ethiopia, citing evidence connected to his name, physical appearance, and the way he was described by his contemporaries. When he first came to Japan, many people had never seen a black man before, including the emperor. In fact, the emperor assumed Yasuke's skin was covered in ink, and he demanded his servants to scrub the ink off of him. Eventually, he realized it wasn't ink, and so in honor, probably a little bit embarrassment, they threw a giant feast in Yasuke's honor. It turns out, Yasuke actually arrived in Japan already speaking a little bit of Japanese, and eventually adapted some of the cultures and practices. Who would have thought a black man would become the very first foreign samurai? But let's not just look at the past, let's also look at the present. One of my favorite players this past year in the NBA was Rui Hachimura. He was born in Tomoa, Japan, and grew up in Sande, Japan. His father was from the West African country, Bien, and his mother was from Japan. Hachimura achieved success at the youth level in Japan. He actually led his high school to 3 straight all-Japanese high school tournament titles, while being the top player for Japanese under 17 and 18 on the national teams. For college, he decided to come stateside, where he would play for Gonzaga in 2016. He would become only the 5th Japanese-born men's NCAA Division I player, and in 2017, he became the first Japanese national to play in the NCAA Division I men's tournament. Rui really started to make a name for himself when he represented Japan during the FIBA U17 World Championship in Dubai in August of 2014. Though he represented his country with great honor, like many Black and Japanese athletes, he faced a lot of racism from his home country because his skin was too dark for many of the fans. This is probably why Rui, since becoming an NBA star, has been on the forefront of speaking up about mental health and making it a priority during his NBA career. Hachimura is only the second-born Japanese player to be drafted into the NBA. The first was Yasutaka Okama, who was drafted 171st overall in the 1981 draft. Rui would also become the first Japanese player ever to be taken in the first round. He's a role model to many in Japan and many here in the States, as he continues to pave the way for many other multiracial Japanese athletes. And finally, I want to talk about one of my favorite tennis players, Naomi Osaka. Osaka was born in Japan in 1997 to her Japanese mother and Haitian father. She moved to the United States at 3 and grew up there with Japanese and American dual nationality. When Osaka turned 22, it was a very major birthday for her because according to Japanese law, those who are dual Japanese nationals are required to renounce one of their nationalities before turning 22. So she decided to stay Japanese. Naomi identifies as Black and Asian, but despite growing up in the US for a portion of her life, she says she doesn't identify as American. A quote from her says, "I don't necessarily feel like an American. I wouldn't know what that feels like." Like Rui, she's been very outspoken on mental health and has challenged the norms of what it means to be Black and Japanese, especially in America. You can find out more about her life's journey on her documentary series on Netflix called Naomi Osaka. Alright y'all, thank you guys so much for being a part of our AAPI Month celebration. And remember, this is just the beginning. To find out more, go do some research.